James Twin for the untouchable True School Sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I've been wanting to speak about this topic for a little bit of time now, so I'm glad to finally get to it here on True School Sports. But Turki Al-Sheikh, he's a big popular topic in the sport of boxing right now. Definitely a polarizing figure. People have their opinions on him. I definitely have mine. Many people say he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's the savior of boxing. Other people, like myself, remain more skeptical of what Turki's power in boxing will do to the sport long term. Now, that being said, and with that being firmly established here on True School Sports, I just wanted to say this. Turki came to Vegas a couple weeks ago here for Vergil Ortiz versus Boachuk. And when he was here, he was asked by the reporters about Tim Tszyu, working with Tim Tszyu, because for those of you that may not remember, Tim Tszyu was supposed to fight on that August 3rd card with Terence Crawford. Not against Terence Crawford, but on the same card as Terence Crawford and Majmal against Vergil Ortiz. And for a lot of us, Tim Tszyu versus Vergil Ortiz, we looked at that as the real main event, the real fight to get excited about. And so it wound up not happening. Tim Tszyu pulled out the fight. And when asked about working with Tim Tszyu again and getting these fights rescheduled and getting him back in the fold and working with him, making big fights happen with Tim Tszyu, Turki says that he will not be working with Tim Tszyu anymore, any longer. And he had a really smug, angry attitude at Tim Tszyu. And I got to say this, guys, and this is my opinion, but I would highly advise everyone to take heed to my opinion, to take heed to what I'm saying, because it comes from a place of truth and education and just being a very observant of the sport and people in it, right? There are certain fighters in boxing. There's not many fighters you can say this about in boxing, but there are a handful of fighters in boxing where it's not hard to work with them. It's not hard to make a fight with them. They don't have egos. They're just down to fight whoever, whenever, wherever. And every now and then, those same fighters have promotional companies that are also easy to work with, right? And Tim Tszyu and No Limit Boxing, this is a fighter and a promotion company that has a pretty good reputation in boxing for being pretty easy to work with. You know, when I go around and I ask people in the boxing industry, and by the way, the boxing industry is very small. So when I ask 3, 4, 5 people about, is it easy to work with No Limit Boxing? Is it easy to work with Tim Tszyu? The answers I get are all positive, right? And also I'm my own man. I can make my own conclusions. I've met Tim Tszyu in real life. I've met his manager, Glenn Jennings. These are not hard people to work with. These are not people with high egos. These are not people that are overly difficult to get big fights or any fights done with, right? So when I hear Turki say, I will not work with Tim Tszyu, and I hear this smug attitude from him, it's a red flag for me. And what it signals to me is what I said in my previous video, that this is a guy that I truly believe is an arrogant man. This is a guy a man that I truly believe doesn't want to actually help boxing. He wants to own boxing. This is a man that I believe is bringing a bit of a tyrant mindset to boxing, right? And I'm not saying Turki's bad for everybody, because I think there are fighters that he is good for, like the Martin Bacolis and the Ajit Kabelas. He has his place in the sport. But for the people out there that claim that I'm the crazy one, that I'm being some sort of hater, and that Turki is a savior of boxing, listen, this dude said he's not going to work with Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, the same guy, Tim Tszyu, who was willing to fight anybody. He's fought, Tim Tszyu fought the Funduras. He fought, Brian Mendoza. He fought plenty of people. Would have fought Charlo if Charlo didn't tuck his tail between his legs and just capitulate as a person and a fighter. Tim Tszyu has exemplified from the day he stepped foot in professional boxing. He's exemplified that of a warrior. I've been following Tim Tszyu longer than a lot of the boxing media in America has, because if you guys go back and look at my history, I was going live for Tim Tszyu's fights in Australia before he made his American debut against Toru Goucher. I remember being live for Tim Tszyu versus Takashi Inoue. I remember being live for Tim Tszyu versus like a lot of these fights over there. So I say this to say that I have a pretty good perspective on Tim Tszyu, and he's not a hard guy to deal with. And I've listened to Turki's interview. He did an interview with I think Charlie Parsons. Shout out to Charlie Parsons. And he did an interview with him, and he was explaining the situation, and he basically said that his issue was the fact that there was some confusion on who it was he was supposed to speak to, and it just sounded like there was a big miscommunication, and he got impatient, and it was what it was. But again, if you have a hard time working with Tim Tszyu, then you're gonna have a hard time working with a lot of other people in boxing, because, like I said, this is a guy in Tim Tszyu who, from the day he's been in the ring, from the day he's been brought to the American consciousness, and even my consciousness as a boxing fan, he has not been a diva. He has not been hard to get fights done with. And so, again, Turki not getting, Tim Tszyu to fight Virgil when he wanted it done, and Tim's maybe pulling out, I think that played a role in his reaction. And I'm just telling you guys, you can choose to call me a hater, you can choose to say I'm this and I'm that. This is a clear-cut sign that Turki is, it should be a big red flag to everyone. Turki not wanting to work with Tim Tszyu should be one of the biggest red flags to everyone that's a boxing fan, because of who Tim Tszyu is and what his character has shown us. Not what Turki's saying, what Tim Tszyu has shown us time and time again. So look, I don't want there to be problems. I hope Turki and Tim Tszyu can come to a mutual agreement and get these great fights done, because I don't want to talk bad about Turki or Tim Tszyu or anybody in boxing. I just want to see great fights. So, God willing, I hope they can come to an agreement, whatever miscommunication they had. I hope they can get to it, and they can do the Virgil Ortiz fight, maybe make him versus Boachuk or anybody else. But my genuine perspective, my genuine opinion, from talking to people in the business that deal with Tim Tszyu's people, meeting Tim Tszyu myself, meeting his manager myself, I think this should be the biggest red flag to anybody who is skeptical of Turki Al-Sheikh and just his mindset and how he wants things done. I think he's a tyrant, and I think he wants to own boxing, which, fair enough, fair play to him. He ain't the first guy that's wanted to own boxing. Al Heyman wanted to own boxing. What was that guy back in the day? Harold Smith, who bought up all that time and whatnot back in the day in the 80s. Him. A lot of guys have wanted to own boxing, but obviously with him, there's bigger things at play here with him wanting to, this is more so about advertising Saudi. And that kind of goes to a tweet. He had a tweet too, which I won't get too deep into here, but he had a tweet that same week where he was complaining about the USA and America's amusement parks and movie theaters and all these things, and about how our stuff, just our theaters and stuff were not good, and the hotel service and the food service wasn't good, and how everything is better than Saudi. Well, the crazy thing is, I didn't have a problem with everything he was saying, because I actually agree with some of it. I think things could be better in certain areas here in the USA, but like he really went off his rocker. He's talking about how the weather in Saudi is better than weather, or it's just as good, if not better, than the weather in LA and certain parts. Like, you gonna sit here and tell me Saudi weather is better than LA or San Diego or South Florida? Like, come on, man. Let's not kid ourselves here. But nonetheless, I just think that this is more about, as he said in that tweet. I'll leave the tweet in the description if you guys want to read it for yourselves. It wasn't Arabic, but it translates to English. In that same tweet, he winds up saying that Saudi will become a juggernaut in the boogeyman in the entertainment and hotel industry and these kind of things, and that's what this is about. So I don't really think this is about boxing. Boxing is just a very, 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 very minuscule part of the pie, but it happens to be the minuscule part of the pie that we care about here on True School Sports, so we're going to talk about it. So that's my overall thoughts on Turki, saying that he don't want to work with Tim Tszyu and that he doesn't understand. And I think it should be a big red flag to everybody in all of boxing, not just the fans, but the boxing industry, everyone. So I'm going to leave it like that. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm at the Boxing Hall of Fame out here in Camden Field in New York. And for more great boxing content just like this video, make sure you click and subscribe right over here.